This is Joan Jett's Bad Reputation, slowed down to about 35%. Oh, here comes, now the track you're hearing that just came in, this is my latest track called Whole Head. I'm going to go and I'm going to turn the whole head down just a little. But then I'm going to go back into the OBS where I'm playing this track. And I'm going to try to mute it. Maybe I won't mute it. Maybe I'll just pause it. If I cut. That's right. That's right. Welcome to the show, everybody. This is Brother Seamus Show. I'm a psychologist. I've been one for 30 years, people. 30 years. That doesn't mean I know everything. It just means I know a whole lot about one thing. And I can tell you this. If you're distressed about what happened in the election, or if you were overjoyed about what happened, just remember the battle's not over. I know it's disheartening. But us humans, we've been trying to do awful things to each other for hundreds of years. Hundreds. All the years. We've been doing awful things to each other all the years. At least the concept of democracy and fairness has kind of survived. The idea has survived, but it's not a given. It's not a given. But I will say this, as disheartening as it may be, this battle is far from over. Because you know what's going to probably start happening is the 32 to 36% of not registered but eligible voters. When that 32% starts voting, that's when normalcy will reign. Because you can't really run a democracy on 64% voter turnout, 63, 62 sometimes. Joe Biden and Trump, for a lot of reasons, drove it up to 66%. That's our record. We're not very good at voting, people. We are not very good at voting. But take heart. I don't want people to feel terrible. I just want to welcome people to the fight, and I want to tell you that if you're not ready to fight, that's okay. I think some people need a straight up denial break from politics. Like, take the whole idea and just squish it out of your mind for a while. I know that's probably not what a psychologist should be saying, but sometimes you need to take a break from that stuff. And I mean, like, really get away from it with the idea that you'll eventually come back to it when you're feeling more rested. You know what I mean? When you're feeling more rested, you come back and you join the fight. But you know, I think Americans, we had a rude awakening. We thought we were immune to corrupt, super duper corrupt politics. But here we are. Part of Donald Trump's evil genius was that he was good at scapegoating people. So instead of blaming immigrants for everything, let me try let's scapegoat some other people. Non-violent scapegoating. I'm not into violence, people. But let's scapegoat the billionaires. Let's scapegoat the billionaire tech people who have made it so easy to just lie to people. They've made it so easy. They've made it so easy to just lie to people. And here's the thing, a certain number of people out there are going to believe it. I would say it's somewhere between 5 to 15% of people. You can probably, at any given moment, completely capture them emotionally with repetition, right? That's one way you do it. And you just keep hitting them with the same idea. And if it really cranks their crankcase, in other words, if it really upsets them, I would say either through fear or disgust is another good one that the manipulators, and Donald Trump was very good at that. He knew exactly what he was doing. That's where I think his genius comes from, is that ability. And he has no shame, of course. He has no shame, so nothing's going to stop him. And we've always had people that were easily suggestible. I think in psychology, I haven't checked up on it. It's kind of a difficult thing to define, but who are the top 15% in terms of easily suggestible? So if I see an upsetting ad over and over again, I'll just believe it, even if it flies in the face of reason. And that could be from anything to say, like hydroxychloroquine will somehow help you during COVID. And no, turns out it actually hurt people. It didn't just not help, it turns out it hurt. I think if you already had a pre-existing heart condition and you took hydroxychloroquine during COVID, you may have damaged your heart. Don't quote me on that. Do your own research. No, actually, that one's pretty easy to verify. But what I'm getting at is we've always had people that would do this. We've always had people that would overreact. That's a normal part of the human species. What we haven't always had is social media. And I'm running a little experiment where I pay money to make people see little video clips or ads that I make. And I'm using a very small amount of money. And I can push tons of ads. I just ran a short ad for my merch, and it hit like 54,000 people saw it because I paid for it. And if you bombard people with things that feel true and they're real scary, about 5 to 15% of the population, they're going to believe it's true. And I don't think there's just one thing we can do to fix that, but I think we do need to fix that right away. But while we're doing that, if you need a break from it, I recommend going out hiking. I'm going to recommend alternative activities instead of swimming in the political stream can be pretty toxic. Doing it on the TikToks and the YouTubers can be even more toxic. So some of you are saying, well, why are you telling me to get off of YouTube? Are you telling me to get off of social media? Yes, I am. Welcome, Milani. Welcome to the show. I don't think I have any people in the box over here on YouTube, but hey, if you're out there and you're bored, get in the box with me and we'll talk about stuff. This is your brother Seamus, and this is the Brother Seamus Show. Get in the box with me. I recommend hiking in the desert, the Sonoran Desert, which is sort of pictured here, but this is an AI image. I've been fooling around with the AI image. So that's Bigfoot in the Sonoran Desert of the United States, possibly northern Mexico area. I don't know where the Sonoran Desert goes from the U.S. Southwest down into I want to say the northwest side of Mexico, and it's beautiful. And I wish that Bigfoot lived out there. And when I don't want to think about politics, I think about Bigfoot out in the Sonoran Desert, having a good time. I assume Bigfoot's having a good time. I mean, I hope Bigfoot's having a good time. But yeah, go hiking. Do stuff with your body. That's a good alternative idea too. Do things with your body. Go hiking. Go out in the desert. Go in the mountains, wherever you think is beautiful, and just completely disengage. It's not really denial if you're consciously aware that you're doing it. So do it on purpose, and do some fun shit for a while. Do some fun stuff and sleep a lot. Get rest. Rest up, because we're going to need you. And when you're ready, get back in the game. When you're ready. In the meantime, you can always throw your brother Seamus a couple shekels, and what he'll do, he'll turn that money, by he, I mean me, if you buy a t-shirt, I think we make $1. Let me show you the t-shirts here, people. They're pretty cool. Oh, we got new coffee mugs in the house too, so let me make sure I'm getting this on YouTube as well. Close that down. All right, here we go. Let's do that. Oh no, that doesn't work. I did this before where I almost crashed the card because I tried to show the... Look at that, Will. You'll like that. I tried to display the display. So I got this form of feedback where as I move my cursor... Ah, look at that. We created a wormhole here, people, is what happened. We created a dang old wormhole. Let's see if I can get out. How did I get out? I have to get out. Oh, look at that. Okay, now we're doing something. Hey, if you want to buy a coffee mug that says Proud Snowflake, let me just show you that real quick. There it is. So check it out. Proud Snowflake coffee mug, $15.99. I think we get $1. I think we get $1 from that. And if you do that, or if you go to our merch main page, the Brother Seamus Show has merch that's created by our parent company, Humans for Democracy. We've got the white mug and the two-tone ceramic, and then all kinds of t-shirts that say, Immigrants Make Great Americans. I didn't know there were so many types of t-shirts, people. But we got different colors, and these are it sends a wonderful message. If you agree with that, give us $1, and then when you're on your sabbatical from politics, we'll use that money. Humans for Democracy will take any money that you contribute, and we will put it toward social media ads that deal with real serious topics. So when right-wing, far-right people get out of control, they do things like repeal Roe versus Wade. I bet you didn't see that coming. We went from happy tunes to me talking about how the United States is engaging in I don't know what else to call it, and I hope, some people are going to say I'm being hysterical, and I hope I am being hysterical. I hope I'm wrong. But what it looks like to me is we're killing young women who are having miscarriages. In the United States, you go to the hospital because you're having a miscarriage, you're bleeding out, probably because, from what I'm reading more and more, is that the fetal, there was an event of some kind, there was an anomaly, and the fetus is not going to survive, and so it's leaving the body spontaneously. It happens all the time. Apparently 1 in 10 pregnancies runs into some kind of mishap. Some people say 1 in 8. So the young woman that you're looking at was delighted to be pregnant. She was delighted and was looking forward to having her own family. She came from a huge family, I think 7 or 8 people. And her name's, I believe, pronounced Nevaeh. I've been saying Neve, but I think it's Nevaeh. She was 18 years old. And down in Texas, and they basically told her, we can't do anything for you because the doctors are afraid they're going to be prosecuted because they've passed a law in Texas, as in Georgia, as in Alabama, as in Idaho, and many other states. They passed a law that says if a doctor gives you an abortion, even to save your life, there's a chance that they will go to prison for 99 years. So she went from one ER to another. And then finally, she died. We did that to her. We killed a young woman. And by we, I mean the citizens of the United States. We allowed Roe versus Wade to be taken away by extremists. So now Nevaeh and multiple other women are dead because of that, and it's not like they didn't know what to do. They knew what procedure she needed. They just didn't do it. And I just don't think we could, I don't think we should stop talking about it until everybody understands what's happening. And it's being done in the name of one group of people with an extreme belief. They're in a minority, but that group of people, they consolidated power, and they finally got their tool that they needed. Their tool was named Donald John Trump, and Donald John Trump went into office with, I would imagine, an explicit agreement, but who knows. He knows how the game works. You give them something, they give you something. So he gave them 3 judges that did away with Roe versus Wade. And now before you complain, like many of you have, before you complain that that Trump did the right thing and gave it back to the states, you have to ask the question, what were the states going to do with it? As if he didn't know. And you know what they were going to do with it? They were going to let women die in the emergency room. I think because at some level, at some subconscious level, I think it's because they're bloodthirsty. I really do. I used to try to give them the benefit of the doubt that they were hung up on that the fetus, that at some point the fetus becomes a full person, and they didn't want any quote-unquote babies to die, even though that's a hyperbolic way of explaining it. But now I think they just really like hurting women. It makes me sad. I'm kind of surprised I'm even saying it out loud, but that's where we're at, people. And here's the thing, most Nevaeh, and there's a couple other women, young women who have died. There's 5 right now that I know of, and I think 2 more cases just popped up in Idaho. If you're doing this in your state, if you're the governor of a state that's doing this, you are going to have blood on your hands. Because the doctors are going to get sued because they failed to deliver the standard of care, and the doctors are going to say, the state told me I couldn't do what I know I needed, what needed to be done. I could not provide a DNC. Or I was scared, or I didn't understand. I think in one case already they found out that they could have saved the woman's life, but they didn't because they were scared. They had misinterpreted the law. But why'd you make the law so vague? Why didn't you carve out the exception clearly so that doctors could safely use their own judgment? And sadly, the answer to that is because they wanted to cause mayhem. They really did. They wanted to cause mayhem. I don't know if they realized how fast women were going to start dying. I don't know that Brian Kemp and Greg Abbott and Kay Ivey knew that women would start dying immediately, but guess what? Women will start dying immediately. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news or anything, but it's already started. And these are from like 2 years ago when Roe versus Wade was first struck down. So how many women have died? I don't think anybody knows right now. And what was the first thing that Governor Brian Kemp of Georgia did as soon as the news came out? By the way, all this is published on ProPublica.org if you want to read about it. But what did Brian Kemp do? He's the governor of Georgia. He just finds out women are dying because of a bad law that he signed. I would call it a genocidal law. Genocide doesn't have to be hundreds of thousands of people. We're having a soft genocide. We're having a quiet genocide. But Brian Kemp, you know what he did? He fired the board that reviews the cases to see if the death was preventable, because they found these deaths all to be preventable. So Brian Kemp said, oh, well, we got to fire the board then because it's making us look like we're unaliving women. And you are unaliving women. We are unaliving women. For no reason. Healthy women, otherwise healthy. Maybe some blood pressure issues. There could be some things that put you more at risk for miscarriages, but we have the technology to save people, to save women. Do you think if it was men having the miscarriages, they would get the procedure? Do you think the procedure would be legal? I'll bet it would. I'll bet it sure would. Trying to find some tunes here for you people. I got to get some tunes going in my show. It's a little too quiet. But the computer is acting up. So I'm going to play my new dance track, Whole Head, one more time. Let's take it back to the beginning. This is Whole Head by Brother Seamus. Now, I recorded this with my cousin, and we're calling ourselves Ogo Pogo. So this is Ogo Pogo with Whole Head. Thanks for joining, everybody. Put your questions in the question box if you've got any. You can also call us on the phone at 509-676-6032, 509-676-6032.
My head is almost completely gone. I would like to have a more whole head. A more whole head.
I would like a more whole head. Sometimes it's nice to have a whole head. pretty good. That was pretty good, people. That was a pretty good rockin' tune there. Produced by Sam Kenny. That'll be on the forthcoming album. I think we've got a couple more tracks to go on the album. Recorded under the nom de plume Ogo Pogo. For those of you who don't know, Ogo Pogo is a mysterious lake creature. There's actually some better evidence for Ogo Pogo than there is for Loch Ness Monster. And I believe Ogo Pogo is somewhere in upstate New York. I can't quite remember. You'd think I would know that, but might be up in Canada. Might be up in Canada. This is my favorite part here at the beginning. Here it comes. The track there, people. That is your brother Seamus doing vocals on a track called Whole Head. And the whole idea for the Whole Head track was that I was using a Luma filter, for those of you who are into video production, where I was trying to show 2 layers of video, and it was showing through on the shiny part of my head. But the rest of my head was there, so it looked like I had half a head. And let's see if I can do it while we're watching. It's kind of hard to do because whole head. Let's try it though. I'm going to put a filter. I'm going to put the Luma filter on. Let's see if we can do a half. Oh, hey, there's my head. Immediately has been attacked and mauled into half of a head, or a chunk of my head is missing from there. Let's see if we can. Oh, yeah. If I lean back, I lose more of my head. So it kind of looked like that. That kind of looks cool here, though. So this song is dedicated to the Luma effect on video editing. But let's switch up the music a little bit. Let's find my preaching tunes. They're in here somewhere. Boy, this thing's really kind of acting janky. Let's give it another shot. Alright, that's better. It's completely gone.
I would like to have a more whole head. The whole head.
Welcome to the show, everybody. This is the Brother Seamus Show, where we play loops and tunes, and we might talk about abortion. I guess we already did. track. This is called A Winding Trench. This is off the same album. We haven't come up with a name for the album yet. This is called A Winding Trench, and it's got some 16 millimeter educational video or educational film audio is the loop in this piece. So I hope you like it. And then after that, we'll listen to Sam's preaching tunes. I'm going to add head to a playlist, I think is what I need to do, right? So this is called The Winding Trench. Welcome to the show, Miriam. Welcome to the show, La Plata MD. La Plata MD, if you're an MD, I don't know if you specialize in trans issues, but I was looking at some data today that said the percentage of trans folks that go all the way through with sex reassignment surgery is around 35%. So I think a lot of people have this idea that the minute you start to transition that you get a surgery, and I don't think that's the case. And I realize all MDs don't specialize in trans support and stuff, but if you do know, feel free to write your comments. If you're on YouTube, let me check YouTube to see if we're getting any comments. Gotta move you over here where I can keep an eye on you. All right, we're at 37 minutes already because I've been farting around. It doesn't look like anybody's talking. How you doing, Chronic? How you doing? It's your boy LB, IVEF user, string of numbers, Raj, Bossman, Slick. Sometimes I follow people just based on I like their name. Bossman Slick. Uncle Slick Dick. All right, that's a winner. How can I not follow Bossman Slick? Uncle Slick Dick, a.k.a. All right, what else do we got here? Yeah, so we talk about abortion on here sometimes. I keep my abortion saves women up. The sign stays up because I don't want to just sit and do nothing during a quiet genocide in the United States against women. There is a quiet genocide. And we have to fight it. All hands on deck. I can't believe in 2024 we're doing this. I really can't. It's astounding to me. Astounding. And men, I think it's the least you could do to stand up for women on this. If a man was in need of an emergency miscarriage, would he be sent away from 3 different hospitals like the way Nevaeh was? I think she died within 20 hours, people. Because somebody was saying on the chat the other day, and I think he was being genuine. He was like, well, if doctors won't give you the standard of care, that's malpractice. And I said, yes, it is. But it is also the state telling doctors, if you do this, you're going to be prosecuted. So what the doctors freeze up, and then they delay, and then they order ultrasounds because an undeveloped fetus, which is not a baby, everybody started saying those are babies, and that's been going on for 50 years now, and it finally worked. They finally got what they wanted, which is the mother's life becomes less valuable than the undeveloped fetus. So the doctors panic, and they're like, I can't do an abortion or I'm going to go to jail, and they wait and they wait. And sometimes, like the first time for Nevaeh, I think they sent her away saying she had strep throat when she was clearly having horrible abdominal cramps, but they sent her away because they didn't want to touch her. So if you want to think about it in Christian terms, the physicians, the OBGYN people now are being forced to do a Pontius Pilate. They're washing their hands of these women, and through that neglect, which is a violation of their own ethical guidelines, through that neglect, women die unnecessary deaths. And the board that investigates, the independent board that investigates and looks at hospital deaths and says whether they were preventable or not, the one in Georgia was just disbanded by Brian Kemp because he doesn't want you to know it's happening, because he doesn't know how to account for it yet. Governor Brian Kemp, Governor Greg Abbott, AG Ken Paxton, Governor Kay Ivey, all the governors that are in states that are considering this, you will have blood on your hands, and there are going to be lawsuits, and it's going to be in the news again and again and again. You could be participating in something that's going to be bigger than Black Lives Matter, or just different, more sustained. You're murdering women by state order. You're ordering women be neglected to the point of death. And that is not the standard of care, and you know it, and doctors, you know it too. I hate to say it, but there needs to be an organization right now that legally defends, covers all the costs of defense for physicians in these states, a legal defense fund, so that they can stand up for their own ethics. I don't blame them. I don't blame them. I think they need to stand up, but I don't know if I could. Maybe I could, maybe I couldn't. But if they have legal defense, that's a big step right there. They might think about following their ethical code. And they'll tell the hospital lawyers to fuck off, that this woman's going to die if we don't do a DNC, and so they just do it. And they take their chances in court. But a legal defense fund's going to be needed for doctors. Maybe they're already thinking about it. Or for physicians, OBGYN physicians, ER physicians probably should join it too. I'm sorry to talk about such a heavy subject with such awesome upbeat music, but such are the vicissitudes of the Brother Seamus Show. This track is called The Winding Trench, and it's by my band, Ogo Pogo, and it's just me and my cousin who does all the music production. I do the audio vocal loops. Another thing that the Legal Defense Fund for OBGYNs and emergency physicians could cover is if you do get jailed, because in Texas they're threatening 99 years, in Georgia I think it's a 10-year threat. What if your family's if you're a physician, but your family's depending upon you for income and you get thrown in jail and you have legal bills? That's not sustainable. But if you know you have free, absolutely free legal defense, and that the minute you're incarcerated that your family will be put on scholarship immediately and taken care of so that your income will continue, then you could fight. And I hope we'll get to that. That's one of my solutions. I don't like to talk about abortion without solutions. Or at least, an idea. I try to give some ideas. Like, if you're overwhelmed by what happened in this election, I would seriously get off social media or block all political content. Give yourself at least, kind of depends on your own neurochemistry and how fast you bounce back, but I would give myself at least a couple months of not even thinking about politics. Because you know what? If you're burned out and overwhelmed, you need to recover first. Put on your own oxygen mask first, and then come back and join the fight. I'm not going to say we couldn't use you. Of course we could use you, but if you're stressed out and traumatized, you should get some air first. But then do come back. Come back and, type some nice questions into the comment section on YouTube or TikTok. Let's see if we have any questions. No questions. That's okay. You don't have to. Oh, Kindness Matters. I like that name. I'm going to follow Kindness Matters 55. Thank you, Kindness Matters, for checking in on our show. So I think I'm trying to, on TikTok, if you're watching on TikTok, I have a live goal of getting a snowflake keychain. And I think that takes like 10 coins. I don't know for sure. And I'd like 5 followers because I'm trying to get to 1,000. And I never thought I would beg for followers, but here I am begging. Because it's how you play the social media game, right? I saw a young fella named Mellow Squid commented on my YouTube the other night. And somehow I didn't see it while it was happening. So if you're out there, Mellow Squid, if you're out there somewhere, Mellow Squid, if you're sitting in my studio right now, Mellow Squid, I want you to know I couldn't figure out how you got a comment in without me seeing it because I'm trying to be Johnny on the spot, Johnny on the comment. Okay, so solution number 1 we can talk about today, although we only have about 10, 15 minutes left, is legal defense fund for OBGYNs in affected states. In states that had trigger laws for abortion, where women are now dying from the miscarriage, they're being denied, I think they're being denied their most basic constitutional right, which is right to life, right? Where are you guys at? In that camera? I see you over there. Right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I think it's the most basic component of the Constitution, people. And the procedure they need, the DNC, is considered an abortion. But it's also a procedure that's used to clean out the uterus after a partial miscarriage. And if you don't do that, my understanding, I'm not OBGYN, is that if you don't remove all the remaining tissue, you'll continue to bleed. The human with the uterus will continue to bleed because that's what uteruses do. And then they'll get an infection that turns into something called sepsis, which I don't understand, except to say that it's driven by an infection, and then it seems like a lot of these women ended up with high fevers, terrible abdominal pain. And if you don't remove that tissue with the DNC, because there's no baby in there, this is undeveloped fetal tissue. And if it doesn't get removed, the uterus won't close, and terrible things happen. And it looks like somewhere between 15 to 20 hours to 72 hours, if you don't get that treatment that we call an abortion, whether you wanted the pregnancy or not, whether you wanted to keep the embryo turning into a fetus, turning into eventually a baby, a full person eventually, it doesn't matter if you wanted that or not. If you have a miscarriage, it's an act of God, right? But then there's an act of man. There's an act of corrupt man. And the corrupt man says, oh, you need a procedure that we know will save you? You can't have it. Because you're a woman and we decided that your body doesn't belong to you. And of course, if it was a man that was bleeding out through his genitals, if he was bleeding to death, if it was a man, and I don't say this lightly, it is kind of a joke, but it's true, there'd be an abortion care center at every mall. There'd be a Jamba Juice, a giant soft pretzel kiosk, and then an abortion clinic if it was a man bleeding out through his junk. And I don't mean to be indelicate. I don't mean to be crude, but it's true. We know it's true. We would never let men die like that. But now in Georgia, Texas, Alabama, Idaho, a bunch of other states, maybe even Wisconsin, I don't remember. So this sign right here, abortion saves women, because you can only use so many words on a sign and still have it be seen in traffic. Let me make this big here. This sign you see right here is missing a little bit of data. Abortion saves women from death by miscarriage. Abortion saves women from death by miscarriage. That's just what abortions do. We've all been tricked into thinking that it's killing babies, but it's actually not. It's actually saving women's lives. And now the evidence, here's the thing to remember. Some of you folks may be the highly suggestible type, and you're being bombarded by targeted social media, so you may think I'm lying to you, but you can read all about this all on your own on ProPublica.org. Now, you may say it's all fake, but the problem with a story like this, you can say that it's fake, but these people are talking. And Brian Kemp, you know this is coming back to your office. This is coming back to your office, Brian Kemp. Nevaeh Crane, if you haven't already, she's in Texas, so we'll go with Amber Thurman, another victim. Greg Abbott, they're going to be talking about Nevaeh in your office because you signed a law that caused her, an 18-year-old who wanted to have children, right? You hear that? You know how that's going to sound in court? An 18-year-old who was thrilled, who didn't believe in abortion, but she was thrilled to have children. She wanted to have a big family like hers. And she was pretty far along. And she had a miscarriage. There was no way that the fetus was going to survive. It wasn't quite viable yet, but they made her wait. They sent her home twice, and on her third time there, they insisted on, I think, 2. Yeah. Now on Crane's third hospital visit, an obstetrician insisted on 2 ultrasounds to confirm fetal demise. So in other words, even though the fetus wasn't going to survive, they couldn't help her until the fetus had died. By then, that was more than 2 hours after her arrival. Her blood pressure plummeted. Nurse noted her lips were blue and dusky. Organs were failing. Hours later, she was dead. So Greg Abbott, you helped this woman die. I'm not saying you killed her yourself, but you signed the legislation that frightened the doctor, that forced them to play this delay game. It's death through neglect, intentional neglect. She was crying, she was in pain, too weak to walk, blood-stained thighs, feverish and vomiting the day of her baby shower. She was 18 years old. This first one almost seems like a sick joke. The first hospital ER, they diagnosed her with strep throat, did not investigate sharp abdominal cramps. At her second visit, this is unbelievable too. She screened positive for sepsis, which is life-threatening, fast-moving reaction to an infection. But they said she was fine to leave, even though she was diagnosed with sepsis. They sent her out. I think that's going to be a lawsuit all by itself. Her third visit, they had to do 2 ultrasounds. So basically, they made her wait so long she died. And I think this law professor, Sarah Rosenbaum, nails it. Pregnant women have become essentially untouchables. So my point is, if you're a conspiracy theorist and you don't believe this, well, first go read the articles before you decide. And there's a series of articles on ProPublica. No, I do not work for ProPublica. I'm not affiliated with them in any way. But please go and read it. And then you tell me if this is about abortion or if this is about human beings deserving basic medical care. Because I think it's about that. And I can't believe we're doing this. I can't believe we're doing this in the United States. And so we need all of you in this fight. We do. We need all of you. But, however, if you're not ready, I want you to go out hiking. I want you to look for Bigfoot. I want you to have some fun. Maybe safely do some intoxicants. Maybe dance a little bit. Let's see, what else can you do? Keep your body moving. That seems to be a key. If you need medications, don't be shy. Go ask for them. There's plenty of good meds out there. Be careful, though. I'll tell you what I've learned after 30 years of being a psychologist. I'm glad we have antidepressants, but don't underestimate how hard they are to get off of. They're easy to get on. Yeah, sometimes the side effects hit you right in the beginning, and then sometimes when you try to get off of them, it's very difficult. However, use what works for you. Find a psychiatrist that actually listens. You know, I'm not saying they have to do full-on hour sessions, but I think they should have a good idea. I mean, hell, that maybe they want to do full-on hour sessions. I don't think that's a bad idea. That's how it started. It was all physicians in the beginning. We didn't even have psychologists at first. They didn't even exist. It was just Sigmund Freud and a bunch of doctors. And they were like, why are these wealthy women so neurotic? That's a terrible accent. I'm not known for my accents. Oh, it wasn't so bad. But yeah, get out there, go hiking, look for UFOs. That's always fun, too. That's always fun. Get lots of exercise. Okay, I see my new boots. They're not showing up very good, are they? There, that's pretty good. They're tan. You can't tell in this light, but they're tan. They're like 1970s boots that I think you would have seen on The Jeffersons, the TV show The Jeffersons, if you ever watched that. I think George Jefferson wore these zippered up boots. And I always wanted them. Now I have them. Life goal checked off. Welcome to the show, everybody. Aunt B. I love that name, Aunt B. Is that a reference to the Andy Griffith Show? I hope it is. Aunt B 912. I'm going to follow you, Aunt B, just in the hopes that you're referencing the Andy Griffith Show. You can immerse yourself in television programs. You can find some lovely stuff to binge on. Allow your brain to disconnect from the political stuff that's happening for a while. It's not going anywhere. It'll still be here. Lots of people are going to stay involved in the meantime. And then when the feeling comes back, when you feel like, fuck these mother effers, we're gonna call the quiet genocide against American women, we're going to call it what it is. And it was facilitated, let's be clear, it was facilitated by Donald John Trump. Nobody other than Donald John Trump facilitated what's happening right now. And we've only heard about, I'd say, less than a dozen cases of women dying preventable deaths. We've only heard the tip of the iceberg. There's going to be hundreds, if not thousands. And I think what a lot of states are going to do is they're going to immediately start suppressing. Because that's what they do, sadly. This is the Brother Seamus Show. I hope you're having fun. I'll be right back.